Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma, Rabbi irzuqni ilma. Allahumma arinal haqqa haqqan warzuqna ittiba'ahu wa arinal batila batilan warzuqna ijtinaba. Wa tawakkal 'ala wa kafa billahi wakila. So when we understand that we've been created to feel love for our Creator through a portal that is unique to us, through means that is unique to us, we've also been given one very, very, very powerful how to feel that love. There's one powerful tool. What it's a completely different analogy, of course, may not even be relevant. But what the nuclear button is to a state, it's that button of beautiful potency for the multidimensional soul, and that one tool that is given to the multidimensional souls to be able to fully activate the potential of that love through the human experience is through compassion, not love. Love is an output of compassion, but through compassion, through raham. Compassion is raham. तो हमें जो सिखाया, हमें जो the most powerful tool that we've been given to activate our love for Allah Ta'ala is through compassion. Or in the usual understanding of compassion, at least it is what the misunderstanding that I had, that compassion is an outward flowing energy. कि दूसरे लोगों के साथ आपने रहम से पेश आना है, जैसे रिश्ते भी रहम के रिश्ते होते हैं, which is womb के रिश्ते होते हैं, आप दूसरे लोगों से रहम से पेश आना है, और दूसरे लोगों से रहम से पेश आने का मतलब ये होता है कि आपने अपने ऊपर, अपने इमोशंस के ऊपर, अपने गुस्से के ऊपर, अपनी डिसअपॉइंटमेंट के ऊपर, अपनी शॉर्टकमिंग्स के ऊपर, ये हमारे वर्ड्स बताए जाते हैं, इन सब के ऊपर काबू पाना है. If you've grown up in the Pakistani culture of Islam, and it's a cultural Islam, it's not Islam. So in sare emotions ke upar kabu paana hai, so that we can appear as compassionate people for others. And so compassion for me, this has always been an outward flow emotion, which has left me in deep resentment my whole life. अपने आप को मार के दूसरे लोगों को प्यार से पेश आना है, ये तो इंसाफ ही नहीं है. और बाय द वे वाकई ही ये इंसाफ नहीं है. दिस इज नॉट जस्ट, इट्स नॉट, it's absolute imbalance, it's absolutely unfair. You are asking me to suppress a part of myself so that I can show up. Not only is it unfair, so that I can show up as a compassionate person for another, mostly because if we suppress parts of ourselves and we're only ever acting from a place of love for another, even if we really want to act from that place, not even if when we have not been forced to act from that place, for example towards our parents, for example towards our children, for example towards our partners, for example towards our siblings, हमारा दिल करता है उनसे प्यार से पेश आने को, हमारा दिल है उनसे compassion से पेश आने को, but the fact that we have to suppress parts of ourselves to be able to give that to them leaves us in deep resentment of them, which is the beginning of a fissured relationship. Darar jisme padi hui hai. Fissured relationships, which is the story of all our homes. So I always thought compassion was this outward flowing energy, and it was taking, जैसे मेरे अंदर से मैं कोई चीज channel करके जबरदस्ती against my own nature, after a struggle and a fight and a war. And unfortunately, I also associated that as being nafs ka jihad. So I understood compassion as something that you go to war for within yourself so that you can share it with others. And the reason why compassion was such a big theme is because and of course, this is the distorted perception of compassion. But the reason why compassion is such a big theme, because Islam as a way of life is rooted in the concept of raham, not only from the identity of who our Creator is, not only in the way that He introduces Himself to us in the very beginning, but how we are expected to act, which energy we are expected to act from in all our relationships, especially in relationships of abuse and injustice. Now, what I mean by that is that, did you know, and I came to know this just as I was doing research for this one, war is not allowed in Islam. Let me qualify this even more. Did you know did you know that war in Islam, when it is permitted to fight it, you know what it is called? It is always in Quran. Always, 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 that war is followed by fi sabilillah, in Allah's way, in Allah's way. So the hilt of what a religion asks you to do for it Because most religions, most standard religions, and as is true for relationships, tests your loyalty for it by asking you to prove your loyalty for them. Will you lay down your life for me? Will you go to war for me? This is what most religions ask us to do. And this is what the distorted perception of Islam is. Did you know Islam asks you not to go to war for yourself for any reason except for compassion? And you know how that is? Because war is called always followed by fi sabilillah. Do it in Allah's way. And you know how Allah's way is exemplified in the Quran? Allah's way is, and this is Surah Al-Nisa, verse Ayah 75. You do not fight in the cause of Allah except for oppressed men, women, and children who cry out, Our Lord, deliver us from this land of oppressors. Appoint for us a savior. Appoint for us a helper, all by your grace. Subhanallah, Allah Ta'ala says you cannot go to war except for when it is to help somebody who is oppressed. Compassion. The hilt of loyalty that Islam tests a human being through is asking them not to go to war except for if it is to help somebody who is oppressed. Fi sabilillah is the way of Allah. In this ayah, fi sabilillah also has been told कि fi sabilillah का मतलब क्या है? Fi sabilillah का मतलब है हेल्प करना उस औरत की, उस बच्चे की, उस बूढ़े इंसान की जो अपनी हेल्प नहीं कर सकते, जो अल्लाह को पुकार रहे हैं कि या अल्लाह, when are you going to send me help? Go and help that person. And that person, helping that person is war. Helping the oppressor is war. So you always do it to protect the rights of the weak and the exploited. It is on the grounds of compassion. You are not allowed in no part in Islam. Are you allowed to wage war for power or for taking control of a territory? Do you know that? You're not allowed to conquer lands for the sake of conquering lands. But if those lands have believers who are oppressed, then go and help those believers. And while helping those believers, if you end up setting the lands free, if you have to establish yourself in those lands, because your intention, your irada is to help the believer, and you have to establish yourself in that land, then that is war. That is fi sabilillah. And that is the only thing that's allowed. So as a ground, as a soil, Islam is the ground, the soil of compassion, of raham. Soft hai. Iski mitti is way of life ki mitti. Religion is to box it. Its frequency, the frequency of this, of Islam, iski jo frequency hai, wo soft hai, wo pliant hai, wo fertile hai, wo malleable hai, wo porous hai. Feel, I'm using these adjectives because feel into the mitti, the gilapan and the moistness of beautiful mitti that this frequency is. अब ये frequency क्या, अब मुझे पहले, क्योंकि मुझे पहले पता नहीं था कि ये frequency है इस्लाम की, मुझे पता था कि इस्लाम चाहता है कि आप अपने आप को दबा के, अल्लाह चाहते हैं मुझसे कि आप अपने आप को दबा के दूसरे लोगों को खुश रख, rage war within yourself to show compassion to other people. That for me was the misconception. What I did not realize, two things. One, you principally cannot give to another what you do not have within yourself. You cannot do it. If you are not feeling raham for yourself, if you're not in a state of raham for your own self, if you're not in a state of raham while fighting the jihad of nafs in your own self, if you're not in the state of raham, of holding your own self tight through the angriest, the most shameful parts of you, you cannot give that raham even to your दूध पीता बच्चा. आपके दूध का टेस्ट खट्टा हो जाता है. It has a physiological effect in everything that you exude, including because for a mother who's breastfeeding her child, it is the most heightened form of physical, tangible raham you can find in this dunya. It's the most heightened form of that. Even if she's breastfed him or her for 2 minutes, it doesn't matter. Even the act of the child suckling on the mother's breast is the ultimate tangible form of raham. In that moment as well, because that is expression of raham. A mother does not have to feed her child, by the way. She can hire a wet nurse. It is not a condition upon her. Subhanallah. Imagine this. Visualize this. When we speak of how not compassion being the bedrock, the frequency of Islam, but self-compassion, self-compassion being not compassion, self-compassion being the frequency of this beautiful frequency called Islam. When we speak of that, get this. In the most physical, tangible form of expression of Raham, which is a mother feeding her newborn child, even then the mother is not bound to by her creator, but it's not bound to feed her child. I want really for you to feel into कि सेल्फ कंपैशन का क्या दर्जा है इस्लाम में. एक बच्चा है जो एक अपनी माँ से वूम से निकला है और उसका प्राइमरी सोर्स ऑफ नेचुरल नरिशमेंट उसकी माँ है. फिजिकल नरिशमेंट, फिजिकल उसकी माँ है. इन दिस physical nourishment situation as well, the mother comes first. Allah Ta'ala says it's an act of raham and a sadaqah. Subhanallah, sadaqah. If you feed your child, if you don't want to, there is no blame upon you. Hire a wet nurse. This is your creator. This is the frequency of Islam. And for those of us who have been mothers, we know what it feels like, first as a mother and then as souls. We know what it feels like to be in a place of abject isolation as a newborn mother. As a newborn mother, imagine. Yes, subhanallah, what a beautiful concept this is. You have a newborn, but you're a newborn mother. Subhanallah, how beautiful. We know how isolating this moment is, because in this moment, when you have a child who's outside your body, suddenly you don't matter as much. And it is the loneliest feeling in the world. Do not matter as much, because everybody is tuned into this new life which has been brought into the world. And guess who your creator is tuned into? The new mother who's been born into this world. Guess what your creator is saying? Your creator is saying, my love, my beautiful, beautiful girl, my beautiful sweetheart, see what feels right for you when it comes to feeding your child. Subhanallah. When did they take away when did they take away this raham, this beautiful intimate rishta that we have with our creator? Through this religion, through weaponizing and through politicizing and through generalizing this religion, by calling it a religion. When did they take that away from us? It's been a few centuries since we have heard the voice of our creator saying, Madiha, not your child, not your namaz, not your roza, not your sajda, not your iman, not your, nothing matters to me in this moment but you. You tell me what you need. You tell me, because if you can hear me, this रिश्ता ऑफ रहम यहाँ इसको कहते हैं, बिकॉज हम अल्लाह के रिश्ता ऑफ रहम से बॉर्न हुए, क्रिएट हुए हैं. हमारा रिश्ता रहम, अल्लाह ताला हमें क्यों कहते हैं कि अपने रहम का रिश्ता मत तोड़ो? क्योंकि रहम का रिश्ता, वूम का रिश्ता तोड़ना डिलिबरेटली, इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि आप उनको अब्यूजेस को टॉलरेट करो और उनको आप इनेबल करो और उनको आप फीड करो उनके नार्सिसिज्म के थ्रू. इसका ये मतलब है कि आप ये मत कहो कि आज से तुम मेरे बाप नहीं हो, आज से तुम मेरी माँ नहीं हो, तुम मेरी बेटी नहीं हो, आज से तुम मेरी बहन नहीं हो. बिकॉज वट एवर डीप पेन दैट यू आर कैरिंग, don't deny yourself the origin of you. Subhanallah. Why have you been asked to do that? No matter how dark life gets, no matter how dark and real and unjust the circumstances are, why have you been asked to do that? Again, tune back into, because हमारा एक अपना रिश्ता of रहम है हमारे क्रिएटर के साथ. और अल्लाह ताला कहते हैं, अगर तुम उन लोगों को छोड़ दो, उनको डिनाई करो जो हक है, तो मेरा हक तुम्हारे ऊपर डिनाई करोगे. और मेरा हक वही है जो रिश्ता of रहम का हक है. मेरा हक ये है कि in the worst of times when you have not, okay, what is the worst time for a Muslim, like we have been told? लड़की वो इंसान, लड़का हो या लड़की हो, जिसकी ना सिर्फ फर्ज छुटे हुए हों, ना वो रोजे रखते हैं, ना वो नमाज पढ़ते हैं, ना उनके बैठने का तरीका सही है, ना उनके लाइफस्टाइल सही है, ना उनके बोलने का तरीका सही है, ना उनके घर का माहौल सही है, हर तरफ से ऑफ है. वाइब ऑफ है. अल्लाह ताला says in that moment also, अगर तुम उनसे रिश्ता तोड़ोगे, तुम्हें लगेगा कि मैंने तुमसे रिश्ता तोड़, बट इन दैट मोमेंट ऑल्सो मेरे रहम का रिश्ता तुम्हारे साथ ऐसे है. सो इन दैट मोमेंट व्हेन मदीहा कैन हियर हर अल्लाह, when Madiha can hear her creator, when she's sitting in what is seen or perceived, self-perceived also, self-perceived as well. क्योंकि मैंने रिसीव किया ना लोगों की जजमेंट कि हाँ मैं हूँ, हाँ मैं हूँ, हाँ मैं हूँ, अब वो सेल्फ परसीव जजमेंट में बैठी हुई हूँ, वो एक एब्जेक्ट सिचुएशन में मैं बैठी हुई हूँ, अपने आप को मैंने एक गुलाफ में बंद कर लिया और मैंने कहा कि मैं बुरी हूँ। उस बुरी गुलाफ के अंदर से मुझे आवाज आती है, ए कैन यू हियर मी? एंड आई एम लाइक ये कौन? एंड इन दैट मोमेंट व्हेन दैट अल्लाह सेज, I don't care about your namazes. I don't care about your रोजे. I don't care about your सजदे. I don't care तुमने अभी क्या पिया है और क्या नहीं पिया, क्या खाया है और क्या नहीं खाया. I don't care कि तुमने आखिरी तुम्हारा कुरान इस घर में पढ़ा भी हुआ है कि नहीं. In this moment, the only one that matters to me is you. What do you need? And I want you to hear that voice. Because as the eyes in the world will look at you in one way or another, whether those are extreme ways of looking at you or hidden ways, but still hard ways, still stab-like ways, ऐसे icicles की तरह आपको चुभते हैं जाके, not feeling good, lazy हो, और तुमने अपना ये अच्छा काम शुरू किया था, you're not being able to do it, not being able to do it, not being able to do it, not being able to, losing opportunities, you have the wrong priorities and you're going to miss this chance. All the stabs that come at us, all the stabs that come at us, all the eyes that look at us with those stabs, there's one which is looking at us still from the Raham Karishta, compassion. Why? Why? Because unless we don't have access to those eyes which are enabling self-compassion, we can truly never be compassionate even to our children. Forget anybody else. जब तक हम लोग अपने आप के साथ सख्ती से पेश आएंगे, अपने आप के साथ, हम सब लोगों के साथ सख्ती से, inevitably we will show up as being hurt people. And what do hurt people do? Again, these are reminders that I've received in my own life only in the past 3-4 days. भाई अगर किसी एक इंसान से गलती हो गई है, let it go. ये मुझे रिमाइंडर आया, मुझसे नहीं, मेरे लिए बहुत मुश्किल है टू लेट गो, बहुत मुश्किल है टू लेट गो, एंड मुझसे नहीं हो रहा है लेट गो. So let it go. And I'm like, okay, where is it? Where is it? और जाहिर है जब आपकी awareness में एक चीज आती है, and this is the concept, this is the nature of energy also. When a certain shadow, what we call the shadow, Madiha can't let go of things. When this shadow comes online, that means अब वो shadow इतना excited हो गया है, because ये मुझे अंदर मेरे छुपा हुआ था, मुझे जो पहले नजर नहीं आ रहा था, इतना excited हो गया है कि 2-3 simultaneously चीजें होंगी मजीद to validate that shadow more. कि हाँ मदिहा कांड लोगो, हाँ मदिहा कांड लोगो, like disconnected from each other चीजें होंगी, but 4 different voices will tell me Madiha cannot let go of this. Madiha cannot let go of this small mistake, small oversight somebody has made. Madiha can't do it. And when I went deeper into understanding this, only about yesterday it started to shift for me, and this morning it shifted magnificently, which was this. Madiha cannot let go of this because Madiha was punished severely for making very small mistakes. She was punished severely for making very small mistakes. And because she was punished consistently and severely for making very small mistakes, she stopped differentiating between small mistakes and big mistakes. And she said, okay, if I'm going to be punished very severely for small mistakes, then I might as well be making a lot of mistakes, because the quality of punishment will be the same. So then Madiha was punished very severely for making any kind of mistake. And in order to save herself from being punished, she had to hold on to the mistake that she had made as a reminder so that she doesn't make it again, because she did not want to be punished again. Do you see? Madiha's holding on to her own mistakes. Madiha not letting go of her own mistakes was a survival mechanism for Madiha. And it is not, when we develop survival mechanisms, we cannot contain them only to our own self. It is exactly the behaviors that we demonstrate in our relationship. So when Madiha cannot let go of other people making mistakes, the small ones, it is not ever her punishing them for a small mistake versus a big mistake. For Madiha, the punishment is equal, and the punishment is never on the other person. It is always on herself first. So what Madiha was asked to do, was reminded of by Madiha's creator, because I said to him, मैंने कहा अल्लाह ताला मुझे नहीं आती है सेल्फ फॉरगिवनेस, अब बताएं क्या करूं मैं, मुझे कोई आपने मीन, और मैंने उनसे पूरा, उनको मैंने ना फिल्टर पूरा होता है ना, व्हेन योर डेटा फिल्टर, व्हेन यू क्लीन आउट द डेटा यू अप्लाई सम फिल्टर्स, सो मैंने फिल्टर उनको ये लगा के दिया, ना आपने मुझे कोई इंस्टाग्राम की रील भेजनी है, ना मुझे आपने कोई पोस्ट भेजनी है, ना आपने मुझे कोई कुरान की आयत सुनानी है, मुझे नहीं, मैंने बड़ी कोशिश, मुझसे सेल्फ फॉरगिवनेस नहीं आती है, मुझे ना, मुझसे मत कराएं सेल्फ फॉरगिवनेस, मैंने नहीं करनी। अब बताएं, अब क्या करना है? सो इट्स नॉट लाइक मैंने नहीं करनी, आई नो कि आई डोंट नो द यूजुअल वेज। सो एंड आई वाज शेयरिंग दिस विद अ फ्रेंड ऑफ माइन who is going through the same thing in this moment as well. And I was saying, I went down, I sat down, and I realized that all the small mistakes, actually, if you look at any kind of mistake in the eyes of Allah, any kind of mistake, whether you have made it or anybody else, if you were to tune into the frequency of what a mistake feels like, you know what a mistake feels like? I don't know how to pronounce this in English, but Urdu में जिसको बूढ़ी माई का झाका नहीं कहते हैं, I don't know, please somewhere, dandelions, is that the correct pronunciation? Okay. Okay, so those flowers, you know, those cotton-like wisp-like flowers which blow out with your breath. Subhanallah, Subhanallah, as Allah is my witness, big or small. And I really I want us first of all to say A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim once, so that whatever form of lower vibration energy is around you that's telling you that no, your mistake is so big, or your mistake is so small, or that's a different. I want us to say A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim, so we can at least cleanse ourselves from the waswasa and now tune into the nature of what a mistake feels like. All mistakes, Subhanallah, as Allah is my witness, big or small, feel like those buri maike, those dandelion flowers. I hope that's the right pronunciation. They feel like wispy, soft, and breezy and airy, no weight attached. That's what mistakes feel like. But it still feels heavy, right? So I traced it down कि अच्छा, अगर वो dandelions किसी pond के ऊपर होते हैं और उसकी roots, क्योंकि pond हमारा subconscious level है, अब उसके नीचे हमने जाना है, तो पॉन्ड को विजुलाइज करना आसान होता है। तो ओके, अगर हमने डैंडलाइन के रूट को ट्रेस करना शुरू किया, उसके स्टेम को ट्रेस करना शुरू किया, वो पानी के नीचे 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 गए, नीचे जाते जाओ जाते रहो जाते रहो जाते रहो जाते जाओ कि ये डैंडलाइन फ्लावर्स इतने हैवी फील क्यों कर रहे हैं, नीचे का वहां पे जाके सी बेड पे बैठ जाओ, या पॉन्ड बेड पे, या उसके बेड ऑफ दैट लेक पे बैठ जाओ। यू नो व्हाट यू विल सी, सुभान अल्लाह, कि उसकी जो stems हैं, they're attached to big heavy steel balls, like metal balls, heavy ones, the ones which are used to anchor down ships with steel chains. तो नीचे heavy metal balls हैं और ऊपर wispy वो mistakes हैं. The mistakes, the weight of the mistakes that we're not being able to let go of in other people are in fact the mistakes we're not being able to let go of within ourselves, because we are carrying this ship anchoring deep metal weights of it within our energetic body. And that may also feel like, अगर हम लोग वाकई वो कैरी कर रहे हैं, तो उसका फिजिकल सिम्टम्स में बताऊं क्या उसकी आउटपुट होती है? एक तो ये कि आपकी लोअर बॉडी फिजिकली हैवी होती है. Guys, this is not a joke. Being a multidimensional soul is not voodoo like mumbo jumbo, yaar. This is like it is all in subhanallah. Allah Ta'ala says ki you are what you eat, right? In hadith, you are what you eat. Why have we been asked not to eat certain? Because everything that we take in has an effect on the body. Everything that is inside will also have an effect on the body. So the effect of not being able to let go physically is equal to आपकी जो lower bodies है physically heavier होती हैं, आपके hips आपके heavy होते हैं, आपके thighs heavy होते हैं, आपकी lower body heavy होती है. And now because you visualized and tuned into those weights जो हमें नीचे हम लोगों ने रखे हुए हैं, समझ में आते हैं क्यों हैवी होते हैं. हमारी डाइजेशन स्लो होती है, वेट्स पड़े हुए हैं नीचे भाई, पूरा एक हम लोगों ने एक नेटवर्क ऑफ वेट्स नीचे पड़ा हुआ है जो सब कुछ स्लो डाउन कर रही है. हमें लेथार्जी होती है when we're not being able to let go, when we are people who hold on and who can't forgive other people and forgive ourselves easily. That's the physical, actual, literal weight that we carry within ourselves. And so when I sat down on that lake bed and I said, Allah, ये तो look at the size of these weights, ये तो ships anchor करने के लिए होते हैं, मैं इनके साथ क्या करूं? इनको मैं कौन से कोई फूंके मारूं इस वक्त? कौन सी मैं सोल सर्जरीज कर लूं? यहाँ पे मुझसे तो नहीं होते, बिकॉज ये मेरे अपने weights हैं, right? I can't do it. And as Allah is my witness, I don't know how he manifested this. I don't know what he did. For me, it was Allah sitting next to me. Subhanallah. Varda, I'm talking to you and I'm talking to myself. It was Allah sitting next to me. And I said, Allah Ta'ala, मुझसे फूंके नहीं मिल रही हैं, because ये weights जो है ये मेरे अपने सिर्फ नहीं है, ये generational weights भी हैं. My mother has a very hard time forgiving herself and forgiving other people. So does my father. So did my grandparents from both sides. And I'm sure before them and before them and before them. So ये सिर्फ मेरा अपना weight नहीं है और मेरे ये बस की बात नहीं है. तो as a Subhan Allah, whether Allah Ta'ala commissioned an angel, commissioned a sign, whatever, signed an angel, or it was himself, whatever he did, he sat down and मैंने कहा आप फूंक मारना शुरू कर. And Allah Ta'ala, because I needed him to assure, I needed to be reassured that it is not a figment of my imagination and that it is being done, it is being released. तो मैंने कहा अल्लाह ताला, वो आप अपनी फुल अल्लाह वाली फूंक ना मारना कि एक ही फूंक से सारी चली जाए, थोड़ा टाइम लेके करें ताकि मुझे भी थोड़ा टाइम मिले इसको इंटीग्रेट करने की. And as he was doing whatever he was doing, or whoever he had assigned to do whatever needed to be done, which was कि उन weights को ऐसी फूंके मारनी है or look at them in a way where they begin to dissolve in the water, where they begin to melt in the water. And automatically, subhanallah, began to receive the कि वो क्या नाम है, वो कौन सा ism है अल्लाह का. And it's an ism that we're all familiar with. But वो कौन सा ism है अल्लाह का जिससे ये weights भी dissolve हो रहे. And we can all, in this moment, we can feel the heaviness of those weights. And I could see the heaviness, we could look at them also. And it is there's only the one, Ya Ghafoor, Ya Rahim, Ghafoor. Kyunki when we invoke a name of Allah, we're not just invoking it for ourselves to familiarize with who our creator is. We are, in fact, and I really want us to feel, it's like a glass of milk that we're sipping. Any time that we invoke a name of Allah consistently, and हम उनके साथ जुड़ जाते हैं, वो हम लोग कुछ कह नहीं रहे होते हैं, वो हम लोग become हो रहे होते हैं. You see, every name of Allah recited, because उसकी frequency is always an integration in our own frequencies, because वो भी frequency है, हम भी frequency है. वो आपस में जिस तरह दूध के अंदर चीनी मिलती है या दूध पी रहे हो आप, whatever works for you, you are drinking it, you're absorbing it in, so that you are enabled to enact even a minuscule part of the attribute that you are invoking. And this way is Ya Ghafoor Ya Rahim, Ya Ghafoor Ya Rahim, Ya Ghafoor Ya Rahim, Ya Ghafoor Ya Rahim. और मैं वो एट्रीब्यूट क्यों कर रही हूँ इस वक्त, जो मेरे जो वेट्स डिसॉल्व हो रहे हैं, वो उसका ये इंटेंशन तो नहीं है कि अल्लाह ताला मुझे लोगों को फॉरगिव करना आ जाए. Because always anything that we do not have within ourselves, we cannot give to another. We can't expect ourselves. वही बात है कि अगर आपका प्याला खाली है, उसमें चावल नहीं है, तो आप, या कोई खाने की चीज नहीं है, तो आप वो उस खाली प्याले में से क्या, you can't pretend that you have rice. There's no rice in that chawal, in that bowl. You can't feed a hungry person. So you have to fill your plate first. It is the self-compassion is the original form, or it's the only form of raham. Because again, now go and take it into another layer, because self के अलावा कोई चीज वैसे भी तो नहीं है. अगर जो चीज हम लोग अपने आप को नहीं दे सकते, या वो फूल जो हम लोग अपने अंदर नहीं उगा सकते, उसकी खुशबू से हम लोग कैसे एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं कि दूसरे लोग भी हील हो जाएं? या वो कौन सा फूल हम लोग अपने अंदर से निकाल के अपने बच्चों को, या अपने मियाँ को, या अपने माँ बाप को, या अपनी बहन को, या अपने दोस्तों को देना चाह रहे हैं? वो कौन सा फूल है? वो तो हमारे अंदर उग ही नहीं रहा है. And then notice, when you realize that you don't have compassion to give, especially to the people that you would really like to give it to, no matters, then notice how you begin to hate yourself more. तुम तो अच्छी माँ भी नहीं बन सकते, तुमने और क्या करना? Notice how we get trapped in these circles. And these are the circles where we are not taught as children and as souls to have compassion. Self-compassion, because my God, multidimensional fellow souls, there was a time when you were sitting in front of your Rab and you could see the dhanja of your body that he had just created for you, right in front of him as well. And at that time, Allah Ta'ala had commanded to you, multidimensional soul, enter this body. Enter this body. And you know what your response was? This is in hadith. Sahih hadith. What's your response? मैंने इस काली कोठरी में नहीं जाना. What is this dungeon that you're sending me into? Do you think your Allah would have been, what is the only tool he needed to give you in that moment where your soul refused to enter the body? Because it was scared, because it looked strange and it looked constricted, it looked small. And feel into your multidimensional magnificence, light that lights up universes with the Noor of Allah, carrying the Noor of Allah as a witness within you. Like a multidimensional soul to whom the universes are made subject to, that is asked to enter into a human body. This dhancha, fear, not anything else. Fear, deep fear. नहीं, मैं इसके अंदर घुट जाऊंगी. काली कोठरी, मैं घुट जाऊंगी इसके अंदर. And what is that one gift that Allah Ta'ala had to give to you? Because agar hamare as soul, please, like we know what it feels like to love, right? जब किसी का सांस घुट रहा होता है तो आपका सांस घुट रहा होता है ना साथ साथ. आपके ख्याल है कि जब वो डरी थी रूह तो आपकी अल्लाह का क्या रिएक्शन था? वो खुश हो गए होंगे. उनका नहीं हुक्म दिया चलो जी मैंने आपके अल्लाह हूं. No dude, said मैं सदके कम, I'll give you something. I will teach you how to love this body. I will teach you how to love yourself within this body so much. I will teach you. I promise I'll teach you. And this is your first thing that you need to do to yourself, because why do we need self-compassion? Because this is a very strange suit to be wearing. This is a very odd place to be in, this world. Relationships are nothing like any angels know about. They are very strange phenomenon. And yet we came here to experience the love of our Allah through these relationships. What is the one thing, the one secret button, the one, if we have, like really, I'm like, okay, if you really want to lean into it, तो जिस तरह आपके पास जिन लोगों को आजमा होता है उनके पास इनहेलर्स होते हैं. जब कोई ज्यादा पैनिक की सिचुएशन हो, they have to ठक ठक like inhale करना होता है उनका asthma हो. Dude, self compassion is the only inhaler that works for us. The only inhaler. Because look at the strangeness of this world that we're occupying. Look at the strangeness of the relationships. और हर कोई इतनी ही, by the way, like they're all equally amazed. Nobody knows what's going on. So the person that you love most deeply, say your partner, they're all equally is like, I have no idea. And you're like, I have no idea, but I really need you to love me. But I really need you to love me too. But I'm scared, but also I'm scared. Now what do we do? Oh, let's try. Let's like force love from each other. No, let's exercise. Let's inhale, inhale self-compassion, because we all have asthma issues right now. Literally, as souls, I'm really liking this. As souls, we all have asthma issues right now. Especially in this time, especially in this age, especially now, because the voice of my Rabb, of my Rabb has been hijacked from me from centuries. The voice that says, I don't care कि तुम्हारा क्या. और वो by the way, ये वही voice of your Rabb है. ये वही voice, because अल्लाह ताला ने ये नहीं कहा, जब अल्लाह ताला ने कहा ना कि war wage करो, another caveat. अल्लाह ताला ने ये नहीं कहा कि मुसलमान औरतों के लिए, मुसलमान बेचारों के लिए, मुसलमान orphans के लिए, मुसलमान widows के लिए. नहीं qualify. अल्लाह ने कहा please, orphans, widows, weak people, oppressed people. मुसलमान और इस्लाम का इससे कोई ताल्लुक नहीं. So those who systematically hijacked, because to call it hijacking of a religion is a big theme. For me, it feels like उन्होंने मेरे रब की आवाज मुझसे hijack की. And that is the voice that I'm reclaiming again as my act of rebellion. And what is that voice saying? I don't care about anything that you've done. I don't care about anybody who you are. I just care about you in this moment. This voice that activates self-compassion for us. And in that moment, and that's how you know you've tuned into the voice of Ram. Allah Ta'ala ye nahi kehte, tum unko jaffi dal rahi ho, aur wo like our wounded mothers, or like our wounded partners would say, हाँ अभी तो जफ्फी डाल रही हो, अगली दफा ना ऐसा करना, वो उस वक्त ये नहीं कहती है या like our wounded parents, like our wounded partners, वो ये भी नहीं कहते कि अच्छा अभी तो जफ्फी मारी है बट इस दफा तुमने ज्यादा किया, पिछली दफा थोड़ा कम किया था। पिछले की बकवास भी नहीं याद कराते हैं, आगे के डर भी नहीं याद कराते हैं। वो इस मोमेंट में रहते हैं अल्लाह ताला एंड कहते हैं यू आर हियर नाउ, दैट इज ऑल दैट मैटर्स, टेल मी व्हाट यू नीड, यू मैटर, यू मैटर, यू मैटर इन दिस मोमेंट। And when this voice speaks to you consistently, you begin to understand, you begin to receive the fact that actually you do matter. And then you begin to understand that you matter a lot. And then you begin to understand that you matter so much, because the war that you've been asked to wage, especially as women, because we have been taught to people please since we were little babies. Especially as women, you begin to understand that there's a huge price that you have paid for the war you have been asked to wage within yourself, which is to suppress parts of yourself to be able to extend compassion to another. And you realize that cost of the war is now too high. Your body is storing a lot. Your body keeps score, it remembers. You understand that the cost of that war is too high because your relationships are suffering, because you cannot, you're meant to, yes, really be compassionate as a mother towards your child, but you cannot extend that compassion because you do not have it within yourself. You need the compassion right now. So when you begin to understand that there's a big price you have paid for the war that you have waged for suppressing yourself, you know that the only way out to first of all pause and then retreat. I cannot, what does that retreat look like? I cannot take care of anybody until I have done this for myself, no matter how small that this is. अगर मेरा बच्चा मुझे, मैं बरहक आपसे बात कर रही हूँ as a mother of two. One, a demanding teenager who has had a very wounded childhood through me and through other circumstances also, but also through me, who really needs me to prove to him that I can be a compassionate mother. And the other is a special needs child who is constantly asking me to prove to her that I will not hurt her because I've been hurting her since she was in my womb. I promise you, I have a lot to prove. But I swear, as Allah is my witness, I don't like swearing to, as Allah is my witness, when I'm having my morning cup of chai, it is a very small thing, huh? I will not have a conversation. I will not pick up her phone. I will not pick her call or his phone. I will not do it. I will not do it. That cup of chai is sacred. You see how small this is, but you feel into how big this is. Because the signal that I'm sending out right now is, guys, this is me, reach out, this is me taking care of me. And if I don't take care of me, I will snap at you, I will put you down, I will give you a snide remark, I will ignore you, I will be cruel to you, I will do all of those things because just because I'm a mother or a wife or a daughter and I'm supposed to be does not mean that I don't have the power to hurt you. And I do hurt you. Sometimes I hurt you obviously, and sometimes I hurt you in very sneaky ways. So enable for me not for me not to be able to hurt you, I need to be able to not hurt myself. And right now, consistently, what not hurting myself looks like consistently for the rest of my life is taking care of me. And how taking care of me feels like is identifying one thing, at least even one thing, but stick to that one small thing every day and compromise it for nothing. Nothing except for जिस तरह हमारे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स में लिखा जाता है कि नेचुरल हैजर्ड्स और कैलामिटीज, अस्तगफिरुल्लाह। ये नहीं है कि बाहर मतलब कोई सारे और तूफान चल रहे हैं और आप चाय पीने या बच्चे अंदर बिस्तर पे सो जाए, except for that, compromise it for nothing. But jokes aside, compromise it for nothing. And that one cup of chai where you will take it and not do anything before you've taken it. Oh my God, subhanallah, the frequency. And that's the beauty of being multidimensional selves. Because as physical selves, the act of the physical act will be directly proportional to its benefit, right? अगर आपने कोई बड़ा काम किया, उसका बड़ा benefit, छोटा काम किया तो छोटा. As energetic beings, which is exactly how Allah Ta'ala's reward system also works, nothing to do all energetic universe, nothing to do with the bigness of your sadhaka. It has a lot to do with the consistency and the clarity with which you've made it, because that frequency shifts timelines. That frequency helps us understand, exercise self-compassion for ourselves. So in which universe can a 1 cup of chai had consistently at the same time, no matter what, really activate self-compassion for a woman who has been taught the spirit of air quotes self-sacrifice? In which universe does this happen? In multidimensional universe. Exactly the same universe in which Allah Ta'ala's reward system is created, has been installed and enforced. Exactly the same universe in which Allah Ta'ala speaks to us and how Allah Ta'ala speaks to us. It's exactly the same universe. So looking at ourselves from those eyes, Ya Ghafoor Ya Rahim, Ya Ghafoor Ya Rahim. This is a frequency of self-compassion. And when we begin to exercise it and tune into it, but tune into it, also exercise it, because self-compassion is an act. It's a deliberate choice, which starts from that cup of tea. And then we slowly add 1 thing or 2 things or 3 things to it. But as we hold that act consistently, the mistakes that we are bound to make, the 2 kinds of mistakes, ones that we're bound to make because we are insan, and the others are the ones we're afraid to make, which may not be mistakes at all. You see, these weights which hold us very strongly tethered and weigh us down in physical and emotional ways, not only don't allow us to let go, they also don't allow us to move forward. Because we then become so afraid of making those mistakes, which don't ever have to be mistakes, you see. Because you could not forgive yourself for 1 bad decision that you made. 1 bad decision. You're never in a business that you had started. You're never going to start a business again. Because the guilt and the shame around that failure was too much. You're never going to allow yourself to start another business again. How does that work? That's a big weight, right? That's a big weight. And that takes away from the potential of the universe that is in offer for multidimensional soul, because the universe, and this is the concept of Allah's Raham also. And again, the way this universe of opportunities has been created is directly proportional to the way Allah's Raham has been created. How is that? In every moment, Allah says, my Raham is accessible and available to you. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, it is never too late. It is never too late. It is never too late until your last breath. Until your last breath, my Raham is available to you. So essentially, if you were to tune into Allah's Raham, it is a field of opportunities which are consistently available for us in every moment. And the reason why those field of opportunities are available to us, why Allah's Raham is available to us, is because Allah's Raham is not equal to who you were even 5 minutes ago. Feel into this. There is no compulsion for you to be the person that you were even 5 minutes ago. So if you've just had a huge screaming, आपने गालियां दी, आपका रोजा था, extreme scenario, आपका रोजा था, आपने गालियां दी, आपने चीजें फेंकी, ठा करके दरवाजा बंद किया और आपने गुस्से का इजहार किया और आपने सब कुछ बैड इंसान बन के आप बैठ गए, वो था 450 का वक्त, अब हुए हैं 455। उस वक्त अल्लाह का रहम एक डिफरेंट तरीके का अवेलेबल था। 451 पे कोई और था, 52 पे कोई और था, 53 पे कोई और था, 54 पे कोई और था, 55 में। इस वक्त अल्लाह का जो रहम अवेलेबल है वो कोई और नौयत का रहम है। यू सी, लाइक A, it is still available to you. Second, it is a different kind of Raham that's available to you. From the sheer fact that you were not, that you've already passed through that energy, it's a new energy field. It's a different energy field. That means when you now plug into Allah's Raham in this moment, Allah's Raham in this moment would feel like forgive yourself. You don't have to be that person. In that moment, you did what you did in that moment. Move on. It's already 5 minutes beyond that moment. 5 minutes in each minute are multiple universes being created and born. You've seen those reels. In the blink of an eye, how many stars are born and how the speed at which the universe expands. आपके लिए बस 5 मिनट गुजरे हैं, वहां पे यूनिवर्सेस बन के सितारे पैदा होके स्टारडस्ट होके एस्ट्रॉइड्स होके मतलब यूनिवर्सेस की अपनी कहानी होके खत्म भी शायद होगी है। और अभी आपने आई ब्लिंक की है और आप कह रहे हो 5 मिनट, भाई सदियां गुजर गई। बस अब 5 मिनट इज इक्वल टू सदियां। लेट्स लुक एट टाइम डिफरेंटली। वी आर मल्टी डायमेंशनल एनर्जेटिक बीइंग्स एंड वी गिवन क्लूज। रील्स देख लेना आप, वो जिसके ऊपर बताते हैं कि एक ब्लिंक ऑफ आई में कितना कुछ हो जाता है और आपका खैर आप सिर्फ एक ब्लिंक कर। सदियां गुजर गई हैं। सो अल्लाह रहम आफ्टर अ सदी, 5 सदियां व्हिच आर 5 मिनट्स लुक्स लाइक वेरी डिफरेंट। लुक्स लाइक मूव ऑन डूड, क्या हो गया भाई, इंसान ही हो ना, क्या हो, जाके कर लो। ओहो यार मैंने गाली दे दी, ओहो मैंने कर दिया, ओ आई एम सो सॉरी, चलो भाई मूविंग ऑन। Show up, show up. Don't hold the weight that you're attaching to what you've done in that moment. Ya Ghafoor, Ya Rahim. Release yourself from that weight so that you can actually float on from that moment as a dandelion flower. And you can show up in another moment, you know? So we don't get stuck to one moment. We don't get weighed down with that moment. Whether it's of failure, of being a bad person, of letting people down and making mistakes and making horrible mistakes and like गुनाह कबीरा हो गुनाह सगीरा हो, फर्क नहीं पड़ता है यार। अल्लाह का रहम सगीरा और कबीरा नहीं है। सीरियसली अल्लाह का रहम सगीरा और कबीरा है। अल्लाह ने क्वालिफाई किया है कि बड़े चीजों के लिए बड़ा रहम है, छोटी चीजों के लिए छोटा रहम है। अल्लाह ने कहा रहम, blanket statement, uniform, consistently available. Or na sirf ya Rahman, ya Rahim, intensely available and consistently available. Rahman, intensely available. Rahim. But we attach to guilt and shame. Yes, we attach ourselves to guilt and shame because that's what we know. And we also then understand कि हमें ना, so this is a process of unlearning. और हमारे बस में वो बात नहीं होती है कभी to unlearn. That's why for some of us who are already in the practice of doing meditation and doing self-evaluation and self-healing, already on the journey, जब हम लोग वो लेक बेड पे बैठे हैं अपने कॉल योर एंजल्स, कॉल अल्लाह, बेसिकली अल्लाह ताला को बुलाओ। अल्लाह ताला का काम है जिसको असाइन करें, हमारा काम नहीं। हम लोग क्यों स्पेसिफिक लोगों को कॉल करें। अल्लाह ताला से को मुझे आके हेल्प करें, या गफूर या रहीम, और इन वेट्स को डिसॉल्व करें क्योंकि मुझसे नहीं हो रही। And our job, what is our responsibility, what is our end of this covenant in this case, Allah Ta'ala said, ठीक है मैं तुमसे तुम्हारे लिए weight dissolve कर रहा हूँ। अब आप बताओ, अब आप कैसे, how will you show up in an act of self-compassion? So you need to, in that moment, decide that one small act. For me, it's my chai ka cup. But you need to decide in that one moment what your act of self-compassion will be. One that you can stay consistent with. Don't make lofty claims and like big pictures, like big things about my ye karungi apne liye. Like I will do a spa day every week. It's not going to happen. Let's start with the chai ka cup. Whatever feels good for you. And then stick to it. And then universe will test you as to how strongly you're sticking. It does happen that way. How strongly you're sticking to that small thing. Because especially on that time, a meeting will be called, or especially on that time, your child will call, or especially on that time, and that's okay. Sometimes if you're doing from 7 days of a week, you're doing 4 times out of 7, great to begin with. Slowly move to 5, slowly until, and I, subhanallah, that is the way this universe is structured. Until it happens that you'll be doing it so consistently कि अगर कोई चीज प्लान भी होगी उस वक्त पे वो नहीं होगी, आपको खुद कैंसिल करने से पहले आपको उसकी कैंसिलेशन आ जाएगी, because the universe stands witness to the fact that Madhya is showing up for this chai ka cup right now in this moment, and therefore nothing can happen. This happens. It starts off from, I mean, you hold that consistently, this vibration consistently, because आप ढीठ हो गए उस चाय के कप, और बेशक आप उसको ऐड ना करो, you notice how that one small act enables you to show up in compassion for yourself in a bigger way. Or आपको like it happens automatically. All you're doing is staying true to your one chai ka cup, had at the same time consistently. but it enables you to show up in bigger ways from place of self-compassion, bigger ways, until the universe begins to show up for you to protect you in your space of self-compassion. And this, when you practice it consistently, you know what this enables you to do in your relationship? A lot. I am sorry. Mujhe maaf kar de. And when you speak it, they receive the vibration of it, because this time, because you've been practicing self-compassion, आप इसलिए नहीं कह रहे क्योंकि आपको गिल्ट है, इसलिए नहीं कह रहे हो कि अल्लाह ताला आपसे नाराज होंगे या आपका रोजा खराब हो गया. You genuinely feel free enough. You're giving it, subhanallah, you're giving that apology as a gift. Subhanallah. You see the honor that's been given to your beautiful heart. And I want to close this session. I'll go back to the answers. I'll come back to it, to the questions. I want to close this session with, see the honor which has been given to the heart. Because in my discussions I was talking about this before this session, that in my discussions with my friend who does not believe in Allah, okay, in my conversations with her, and she said, every time that I've tried to find him in Quran, I have found hellfire. I have found punishment, and I've found कि अगर उसने चोरी किया उसके हाथ काट दो. So I said, okay, that's beautiful, because every time that you've gone to Quran, you have got the Quran text has shown you, its vibration has shown you your own shadows. You're holding fear for your creator. It'll show you fear. It'll reflect back fear to you. She said, then what do I do? I said, then don't go to Quran. And she said, what the hell do you mean by that? What do you mean don't go to Quran? I said, don't go to Quran. In this moment, sit down, because Quran दरख्तों पे नाजिल नहीं हुआ. कुरान इज अ वाइब्रेशन जो पहाड़ों पे नाजिल नहीं हुई, जो किताब में लिखी नहीं गई और ऊपर से टैबलेट से नहीं आ गई. ये एक दिल पे नाजिल हुई, ये कल्ब पे नाजिल हुई. उस कल्ब को पहले प्योरीफाई किया गया था. रिमेंबर मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, देयर वाज शक सदर दैट वाज डन. उस कल्ब को प्योरीफाई किया गया था, क्योंकि एक प्याला है जिसमें इस फ्रीक्वेंसी में को रहना है. एक प्याला है which is being made to contain this frequency. वो प्याला गदला हुआ, उसमें अगर ये फ्रीक्वेंसी आएगी भी तो इसका कोई बेनिफिट नहीं होगा, which is what Allah Ta'ala speaks of. Okay, there are hearts which cannot, you can speak to them and you can speak to them, but they will not be able to hear you, because it's not their eyes which are blind, it is their hearts which are blind. वो blindness क्या है? वो प्याला गदला हुआ है. तो I was sharing with her, I said, अपना प्याला साफ करो. Do not go to Quran in this moment. Just sit down and see how beautifully created your heart is. See the honor in which this container has been created. This container was not created only to hold the magnificence of Quran, yaar. The container was created in honor of you, your Allah's gift to you. Agar aap puri if in your whole lifetime, there's a person who does not know how to read the Quran, and their whole life purpose is to honor the heart that they've been born with, how beloved would they be to Allah? It is the heart that you purify first. It's the heart. It is the tazkiyah nafs that you do first. And yes, for some, Quran helps in helping you. But for most of us who have been on war grounds and on battlefields for a long time, बड़ी मुश्किल से होता है एक straight away exchange with Quran. Because in that straightaway exchange with Quran, we have to unlearn a lot of things, because our thought, the voice of my Rabb, had been hijacked. आपको अपने अल्लाह की आवाज मौलवियों की आवाजों से ऊंची नहीं दिखती है, सुनाई नहीं देती. फतवों की आवाजों से ऊंची आपको अपने अल्लाह की आवाज नहीं सुनाई देती. मुश्किल है in this time and age to remember your love for Allah. मुश्किल है. So maybe in this moment, remember your love for Allah without any other thing. And when you remember it, even a little bit, when you feel it just a little bit, then open Quran and then see which ayah comes to you. Because right now, if you go to Quran, it's going to keep reflecting to you what you have in your heart. वो कौन से दाग हैं हमारे प्याले के ऊपर जो हमने धोने हैं. हाँ, कुरान वो धो सकता है आपके लिए दाग, but you have to give it a chance. But because it's a very difficult place we're living in, especially in this culture, especially in this culture, and especially as women, it's a very difficult space that we're living in. It's very difficult to allow Quran to wash that pyala for us, which is why we find महफिलें इस तरह की ना. जैसा मुझे भी कुरान से तो नहीं प्यार हुआ था, मुझे किसी महफिल वाले से प्यार हुआ था. मेरे टीचर से प्यार हुआ था मुझे पहले, और उन्होंने फिर मुझे प्यार बताया था कि प्यार क्या होता है. उन्होंने मुझे सिखाया था प्यार क्या होता है. उनसे प्यारी प्यारी बातें की थी, उनसे उनकी उनकी महफिल में रह के उनसे उनके पास बैठ के मुझे अल्लाह की आवाज़ आना शुरू हुई थी. मुझे वहां पे मौलवी की आवाज़, अजानों की आवाज़ें नहीं आती, मुझे अल्लाह की आवाज़ आना शुरू हुई थी. वो अल्लाह की आवाज़ जब आना शुरू हुई तो फिर मेरा दिल किया कि अल्लाह, इस किताब ये जो जिसकी मुझे आवाज़ आती, जो इतने प्यारे हैं, उनसे मीठी तरीके से बात करते हैं, उन्होंने जो लिखा होगा वो कितना खूबसूरत होगा. So we begin, and that can only happen when we find enough honor and give ourselves enough honor within ourselves. We are worthy. We are worthy. We are those multidimensional souls who refused, who were scared of going down into our bodies, and yet we did, because we were given that gift. Okay, hey, you will learn here. You know how to love yourself. You know, because I'm here loving you. You know how to find my love back. You know how to find my love back. And it is that voice of Allah that we always look for in the moments where the weights feel too heavy, when we feel like we can't let go, when we feel like it's too much, we feel like not only can we not get let go, we can't even move on. And interestingly, there's a book that I had written once, and it just the more I was doing the research for this book, there was this session, these 3 lines that I'd written about 4 or 5 years ago, which come, and it is all about the love for Allah. And there's a character called Bhaiya, and I'm just going to read these 4 lines. And Bhaiya had said with a quiet, so quiet that the leaves had to lean in to catch 3 or 2. Bhaiya had said that it sounded very much like the wizard's song. He used to call Allah Ta'ala the wizard. So that it sounded very much like the wizard's song, all love, all love. And he had said that he knew the minarets remembered it. So did the synagogues, and the temples remembered it, and the pulpits too. All remembered that love, he had said, but the human heart. So जिन मीनारों से और जिन स्पीकर से, जिन मेगाफोन से वो हमें अल्लाह से डरा रहे हैं, वो मस्जिदें, उनकी ईंटें, उसकी मिट्टी अपने रब के प्यार की गवाही देंगी. The bricks and the structures remember the love of Allah, because this earth remembers the love of their creator. The only one which has forgotten is a human heart. And it is that love that we are asked to taught ourselves, to remember, not to taught our what was taught our to teach bhi nahi, to just remember, to remember that love. Because until we do not, we truly cannot love another. We cannot love another, no matter how much we want to. And we can spend our whole lives trying to prove that we do, but we will still be acting from a place of wounded self. I am going to